In this video we're going to look at how we can go around ordering decimals. Our objectives for today are that we're going to be able to identify using place value the largest of two decimals. You're going to show me by demonstrating a method to order decimals of the same length, and hopefully you're going to be able to explain to a friend or family member a method for ordering decimals of different lengths. So let's start with the first one, which is identifying using place value the largest of two decimals. Let's remind ourselves of our place value chart. So this is our place value chart. Our decimal point is the centre of the place value chart, and then we have units, tens, hundreds, thousands and 10,000ths to the left, and tenths, hundredths, thousandths, 10,000ths, 100,000ths to the right. And we've talked about this before, how there are more places than this, further to the left and further to the right. But the ones we need to know about are those sort of central 8 or 10 columns. You should find on the Google Classroom a place value chart like this that you can use to help you with the tasks in today's lesson. This should work on your iPad, so you can use your iPad to answer the questions using this place value chart if you want to. So, how can we use a place value chart to decide which number is larger? Here I have two decimals, 0.835 and 0.635. Just looking at them, some of you might be able to tell me straight away which is bigger, but by placing them on the place value chart, I can easily see which is larger. 0.835 would go over here like this, with the decimal point under the decimal column, and then the 0 goes under the units, the 8 goes under the tenths, the 3 goes under the hundredths, and the 5 goes under the thousandths. I do the same with 0.635. Again, making sure everything's lined up with that decimal point in that decimal point column. And now it's really easy to see that that top number, 835, is the larger of the two decimals. So my answer to which number is larger is 0.835. We can clearly see on the place value chart that that is the bigger number. Let's have a look at a slightly different example. This one, I haven't got a 0 point anymore, I've got a 2 point. So, again, using the same method, if I put the number in the place value chart and I line up that decimal point, and I do the same with the second number as well, lining up that decimal point, I can now really clearly see that again, that first number is the bigger one. 2345 is ever so slightly bigger than 2342. I'm not ignoring the decimal point, I'm just making sure that it's lined up. So the bigger number is 2.345. Okay, we've got the hang of those. Let's go a bit harder. Let's go green. What do you notice different about this example? What do you notice about the two numbers that I'm comparing? Can you just tell your screen what's different compared to our red and orange example? Okay, so this one, the numbers after the decimal point are longer for the first number than they are for the second. So this first number here, 8.214, has 3 numbers after the decimal point, and 8.47 only has 2 numbers after the decimal point. And this is where people get tripped up. This is where you need to be careful. So again, I'm going to put them on my place value chart, lining up that decimal point. 8.214 and 8.47. At the moment, I cannot compare these two numbers because they are not the same length. I need to make these two numbers the same length, and the second number is a bit short. So thinking back to our last few lessons, what do I do in a place value chart if I have an empty space? Yes, I need a place value holder. And I'm going to put a 0 on the end of this number so that the two numbers are now the same length. I haven't changed the number by putting a 0 on the end because it's after the decimal point. But I've now made my two numbers the same length so that I can compare them. So what's bigger, 8214 or 8470? Yes, 8470 is larger. So even though it was a shorter number, so I'm just going to put 8.47, so I don't need my place value holder. Even though it was a shorter number, that secret 0 that I don't draw shows me that I have a larger number. If I can just shade it here, I have a larger number in the 10th column. And that is why 8.470 or 8.47 is bigger, because in the 10ths column, 4 is bigger than 2. Let's go for one more example and then you can have a try. So again, I have two numbers of different lengths. 5.735, three numbers after the decimal point, and 5.8. So if I'm using my place value method that we've been looking at so far, I can move 5.735 to here with the decimal point under the decimal column. And I can move 5.8 over here with the decimal point under the decimal column. And then as that second number isn't long enough, I need to put two place value holders under the hundredths and the thousandths column. So again, you should be able to see that 5735 is smaller than 5800. So that second number is the biggest. 5.8 is the largest. And again, they've got the same number in the units column, but 5.8 has a bigger number in the tenths column, which is what makes it bigger. It has a bigger number in the tenths column. 8 is bigger than 7, and that's why it is a larger number. So now you've seen me have a go at 4 of these, it's your turn. In a second, I'm going to ask you to pause the video. I'm going to ask you to go back onto Google Classroom and click on Task 1, which is larger. There are a lot of questions for you to do on this one because I want to see a lot of practice. For each one, all you have to do is choose the larger of the two decimals. Some of them are really obvious just by looking at them. Others you're going to have to think about what we've done in these examples. There is a place value chart saved on the Google Classwork section, or the Classwork section of Google Classroom, should I say, for you to have a go. Okay, pause the video now. Brilliant. How did you get on? I'm hoping you got more than 15, so more than half. Did you manage that? I bet some of you even got 30 out of 30. Very well done. So, let's have a look then at the next part of our lesson, which is not just choosing the biggest or the smallest, but putting decimals in order. I'm going to carry on using my place value chart just to help me with this question. Here I have 5 decimals that are all two decimal places after the decimal point. So again, I'm just going to move them so that I have them all in the same position on my place value chart. My place value chart's not big enough for this one. So my decimal points are all lined up nicely. It almost looks like money, doesn't it? £2.07p, £2.63p, £1.99. Now I've got all my values lined up, it's really easy to see the correct order. I can see 199 is the smallest. I can see 348 is the biggest. So now I've just got to get my brain going and make sure I can do these. So 207, £2.07, 263, £2.63, and 289, £2.89. And there they are in order from smallest to biggest. How easy is that? I just line up the decimals and put them in the right order. My units go 1, 2, 2, 2, 3. And then I'm looking at my tenths and my hundredths. That's really easy. Let's look at a different one. Bit harder this time. What do you notice is harder about this next example? Can you tell the screen what is harder about this example? Yes, well done. So this time my decimals aren't all two numbers after the decimal point. I've got some that are 2, some that are 1 and some that are 3. So again, I'm just going to line up my decimals on my place value chart so that I can see what I've got. They also all start with 3 point something, whereas on my last example there was a mixture. Now, I've got that dilemma where my decimals are all different lengths. So I need to use place value holders to make them all the same length. So I've got a gap there, so that needs to be a 0. Are they all the same length now? Oh, no. Look at that last one. That one's got 3 numbers after the decimal point, 3.512. So I'm going to have to put some zeros. That one's going to have to have 2 zeros. Some 0 place value holders in there. Now I've done that, I can see a bit better the order of my decimals. So they're all 3 point something. Which one is the smallest? 3470, 3500, 3520, 3550 or 3512. Which one is the smallest? Can you tell me? Yeah, I think it's 3.470 as well. So I'm just going to write 3.47. I don't need that 0. Because the 4 is the smallest out of all the tenths. Because all the rest are 0.5, aren't they? Which one's the biggest out of all those numbers? So left I've got 3.500, 3.520, 3.550 and 3.512. Which one's the smallest? Oh no, sorry, which one's the biggest out of those 4? You spotted it? It's 3.550. So I'm going to put that at the bottom. 3.55. And that's because in the hundredths column, out of those 4 that are left over, that's my biggest number. That 5 there. So can we put the rest in the right order? I've got 3.500, 3.512 and 3.520. So hopefully you can see that it's 3.5, and then I don't need those placeholders. 3.512 and 3.52, and I don't need that last placeholder. And this one's much trickier. This one is really difficult, so I'm really impressed if you can have a go at this for me. And these are in order from smallest to biggest. So, the final task for today's lesson then, guys. This is the end of the video. When I've finished speaking, I want you to go back onto Google Classroom in the classwork section and have a go at task 2, ordering decimals. Again, if you feel you need to, there is a place value chart there to help you. You can write on that on your iPads. I look forward to seeing your results and good luck.